This is the day that the Lord has made. We will rejoice and be glad in it. This is the day that the Lord has made. We will rejoice and be glad in it. This is the day that the Lord has made. We will rejoice and be glad in it. This is the day that the Lord has made. This is the day that the Lord has made. We will rejoice and be glad in it. This is the day that the Lord has made. We will rejoice and be glad in it. This is the day that the Lord has made. This is the day that the Lord has made. We will rejoice and be glad in it. This is the day that the Lord has made. We will rejoice and be glad in it. This is the day that the Lord has made.
Good morning and welcome to All Saints by the Seas Digital Children's Chapel. I'm Reverend Amy, and while I miss being able to be with you all in person, I'm so glad that we can be together in this digital format. If you are able, I ask you to find a candle in your house and have a grown-up who's with you help you light the candle as we get started with Children's Chapel. Each week we light the candle as a reminder that God's light is shining in our world, in the dark places, and there's places where we're afraid, and there's places where we're sad, and there's places where there's joy and happiness and fun and love. God's light is shining everywhere, and this light is a symbol of God's light. So let's go ahead and light our candle with the grown-ups' help. And now it's time to say our prayers. So why don't you center your hands in front of your heart to help us center ourselves for our prayer. And we'll take in 3 deep breaths, in through our nose and out through our mouth. I like to close my eyes when I do it. So if you'd like to do that, you can as well. Let's take a deep breath in through our nose and out through our mouth. 1, 2, 3. And now repeat after me. God be in my head and in my thinking. God be in my eyes and in my seeing. God be in my ears and in my hearing. God be in my mouth and in my speaking. God be in my heart and in my loving. Amen. And now we're going to hear the story for today. Our story today comes from the Read Aloud Bible Stories, Volume 3. And our story is God gives God's people bread to eat. Now remember, in our last story, we learned about a baby who God saved named Moses. Let's see. I hope that it tells us his name. See where you find Moses in this story. Step, 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 step. Moses was taking the people on a long walk. Here's an old man Moses. Step, step, step. Every day the people walked. Step, step, step. Every day they stopped to eat. Every night they stopped to sleep. Donkey. One day they came to an empty place. It was time to eat, but their bread was gone. Oh my. It's a lot of people, isn't it?
It fades into the distance.
You can't even see them all, huh? It does. As far as your eye can see, they're people.
Gosh.
Our bread is all gone, they told Moses. Can God give us something to eat in this empty place? Now, God knew the people were hungry. God said to Moses, "Don't worry. I will give you bread from heaven to eat." So Moses said, "Don't worry. God will give you all the bread you need." Next morning, the boys and girls woke up. The mommies and daddies woke up. The grandmas and grandpas woke up. The aunts and uncles and friends woke up. They saw something on the ground. It was little and round and white. They said, "Oh, look, what is it?" Moses told them, "This is the bread that God has given you." They called the bread manna. They put it in their baskets. The boys and girls helped. And then the mommies and the grandmas and the aunts cooked the manna. They made the little cakes with it. The cakes tasted like bread and honey. Good. Everybody had manna for breakfast and for lunch and for dinner. Now nobody was hungry. And the next morning, God gave them some more. So Willa, I wonder what your favorite part was. That's our doggy. He's barking at somebody.
My favorite part was, it's okay, Bubs, was probably when God gave them manna and when they cooked it, and even though it was like so small, that like everyone still had some and they weren't hungry.
Everybody had enough bread to fill their stomachs for the day.
I mean, even like probably like 2 small ones would feel like a slice of bread because they were probably
So
hungry.
And I liked that God gave them the bread to eat, and the next morning God did it again. So that's one of my favorite parts too. And the other favorite part of mine is that story that we heard last week about God saving the baby in the basket made it so that now Moses could could save all the people of Israel when they were hungry in the wilderness, that God used Moses to make sure that they wouldn't go hungry and that they would still be able to eat and live. God is so faithful, and God gives you and me everything we need every day. It all comes from God, and it's all a blessing. I wonder what your favorite part of the story was. Why don't you share that with the person who you're with? And because God is so good and God is so faithful to us, why don't we sing a Thanksgiving song to God?
The story tells us about how good God is. Let's sing about that together. God is so good. God is so good. God is so good. He's so good to me. God is so good. God is so good. God is so good. He's so good to me. God is so good. God is so good. God is so good. He's so good to me.
That was a wonderful story. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. I'm Chaplain Allison, and I'm really glad that you're worshiping with us today. I'm here in my backyard with my chickens and my dog Waffles. So we're going to get ready to have our closing prayer. So let's put our hands in prayer position and have 3 deep breaths in and out to help us get settled in prayer position. That's 1. So let's go another deep breath in and out and in and out. Okay. Help me, Lord, to love you more than I've ever loved before. In my work and in my play, God be with me through the day. Amen. And now it's time to change the light. Remember, we light the candle to represent God's light here with us. And when we blow the candle out, it doesn't mean that God's light and God's love go away. It means that it goes everywhere, and it's inside of us also. So let's watch the light as it goes. There it goes. It's moving everywhere. So, thank you for worshiping with all of us here today. And now let's sing a song.
The candle reminds us that God's light is always within us, and we can let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Hide it under a bushel, no, I'm gonna let it shine. hide it under a bushel. Nope, I'm gonna let it shine. Hide it under a bushel. No, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine. Everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine. Everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine.